So guys, in the last video you saw how to do the regression for a given dataset. So by doing regression, you actually got two equations. One was linear and one was quadratic. But now what to do with the equations? You can't really just have the equations and do something with it. You need to analyze them and get something useful out of it. So for that, in this video I'll tell you how to analyze two equations using Ti Nspire, and we'll get various types of information such as the intersection point, which shows the break-even point, and then the minimum cost you can get, the maximum profit you can gain, and the point at which you'll get no revenue. We'll see what happens when your output is zero. When the output increases, what's your status? Are you in profit or are you in loss? So we'll look around all that. So now let's see when your output is zero, what happens. So for that we'll find the zero. So menus 1, and I'll choose this graph which is for the revenue, as your cost can actually not be zero. So when the output is zero, your revenue is also zero. That's quite obvious, but this tells us when our output is zero, which is 0, 0 this point, the revenue will also be zero and the cost is quite high, and we can see it's 225. So yeah, so at this point the revenue is zero and the cost is high, which shows that the company is in loss. So now let's see, there are two intersection points, this one and this one. So these points actually show the break-even points. So when the cost and revenue are equal, we won't actually make a profit. So let's see what are those points. So we'll find the intersection using menu 64, and we get it this one, then this one. We have to select the areas. So we know that when the output is 4.75 or it's 36.5, there will be no profit, no loss. It's a break even because the cost and the revenue are going to be equal. Now let's see what's the minimum cost we can get. So for that we'll find the minimum point of this red graph, which is the cost graph. So we'll go menu 6, then 2, then you have to select the graph, and then we get this. So we can see when the output is 11.6, the cost is minimized and it's 50 only. So that's also quite useful because I can now reduce the cost by increasing the production, as I know that at 11.6 now it will be 50. So that's quite useful. Let's see when the output increases, how the profit and the loss vary, how they actually increase or decrease according to my production. So for that I'll trace the graphs, and I'll use trace all because it will simultaneously trace all the graphs instead of just doing it for one. So I'll do trace all, and I get to know when the blue one is more, it means that we are making a profit. But when the red one is more, like here, then it means that we are making a loss. So I will always prefer to be between this point and this point to make the blue one always stay up so that we can make a profit. Now what about the profit graph? So for that I'll do one thing. We all know that revenue minus cost is profit. So I have the graph here. I did revenues equation minus profits equation. So I get this. Then I'll plot this graph too. So now I can see my profit as the output increases. So I can see initially it's 0. It's actually in minus because I'm making a loss. Then it increases, and at this point it again goes down, and then there is a loss. So now I can again find the maximum profit I can make by doing menu 63, so which is the maximum point. So I'll choose this graph and I can find the maximum profit I can make. So when my output is 20.6 units, so the profit is maximized and it's 327. So yeah, by this we actually got to know what's the break-even point so that we can stay within it and we should not make a loss. And then we also saw at what output our profit is maximized and how we can reduce the cost, and how the revenue increases, the nature of the cost and the profit